What's going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and today I have a very special video for you. I'm bringing you guys the first VGC team that I've made and what has been my best VGC team that I've made. So when I say first, I mean like first, like actual one. However, realistically, this team went through a lot of changes. I've played a bunch of things. I've used a bunch of rental teams. This is the first one that I've made completely on my own and that I'm like willing to share and let it be used by you guys. This has been extremely consistent versus pretty much everything that is super common on the ladder. We have Trick Room, the Whimsicott plus Lucario / Arcanine. We have just regular old Tailwind. We have Follow Me users like Togetic and Togekiss that have been really common. This does super well versus everything. It is so good. I love it. Alrighty guys, sorry about that. I had to go talk to some people on Discord real quick. However, this team is super reliable. I'm going to go over what it is. There's the code down there for you guys to try it yourself. I'm going to tell you guys the matchups, what the idea behind the team was, how everything is meant to work, and what it all is supposed to do right now. If you guys are excited, please make sure to leave a like down below for me. Try out the team. Let me know if you've been enjoying VGC 2020 because I've been loving it. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So I actually started out this team with Duraludon plus Sableye. So the reason being, Duraludon is super reliable to stop Trick Room. With the ability Stalwart, you're able to max Flash Cannon Hatterene, and you're able to just bop it turn one and not even worry about it. So it's absolutely phenomenal. Love it. It's also really good versus Tailwind and Follow Me users. The reason why it's good versus Tailwind is because of the support that Sableye has. A lot of the mons that benefit from Tailwind or Trick Room right now are weak to what Duraludon has on it. Now you could replace Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse, one of the two Dragon coverages, with one of your own coverage moves. I haven't needed another coverage move anywhere, so I have those 4 moves. You could throw on Steel Beam there if you want to just have a nuke later on, but I haven't needed it. Literally everything that I've ever needed was right there on Duraludon. So the whole idea with it is, pretty much in 95% of your leads and in 95% of your games, you're going to lead off with Sableye plus Duraludon. If they have Trick Room, lead off with Duraludon. If they have Tailwind, you lead off with Duraludon. If they have Excadrill with no T-Tar, you lead off with Duraludon. It's super reliable. You fake out something. The only time that you can't do that is if they're Dynamax. So what you do is you quash, like, let's say they lead off with Whimsicott plus Excadrill. Clearly, they're going to Dynamax with the Excadrill, so what you do is you quash the Dynamax Excadrill, and then you go for you go for Max Steel Strike, raise your defense, and then you burn the Excadrill. You're at +1 defense, it's then burned. You can then start plowing through the entire team and then focus down the Whimsicott, and the Excadrill is not a problem for you. So that is the whole idea behind it. The only time you do not lead with Duraludon is if you see that your opponent has Sandcore, because Sandcore is really difficult for this to go through. You can't really do as much with it. You also can't one-shot T-Tar, so because of that, a lot of times their weakness policy, you do not want to just go straight in with a Max Steel Strike, because you're not going to kill it. You're going to give it the +2 boost, and then it's going to be really scary. So what I tend to do with that is I tend to lead off with Rillaboom plus something else. I typically tend to do Rillaboom plus Arcanine, because what I can do is I can, or I'll lead off with Rillaboom plus Dracovish. I can fake out the Tyranitar, and then I can just Vicious Rend the Excadrill, and then we're set that way. And then I'll have like Duraludon in the back plus a filler. And that typically works out pretty well, and Dracovish can always one-shot T-Tar. I'm also not going to give you guys the EV spreads for this because I worked really hard on them, so... but yeah, so that's pretty much the whole idea behind leadoffs. Lead off with Sableye plus Duraludon. Quash is so good. Quash also works really well in tandem with Dracovish, because Dracovish, it needs to go first. So what you do is you know which Pokemon you're attacking first. So for example, let's say that you're up against a Excadrill and a Togekiss. Togekiss is more likely going to use Follow Me, so that's a bad example, but you get the picture. You quash something, and then you just Vicious Rend it. You're guaranteed to go before it, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get the knockout. I saw a lot of people running Banded, Scarfed, things like that. I hated that, because I couldn't protect. I could not make sure to keep this thing around for an extra turn, and that ruined it for me. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to ensure that I had Protect on this thing. Crunch, you could take off Psychic Fangs for a Dragon coverage. It is really reliable to have that versus other Dracovishes. However, I didn't ever see a need for that. Between Sableye with Will-O-Wisp, between Weezing with Strange Steam, Crunch along with Fake Out, Knockoff, things like that, hasn't been an issue for me, and I don't think that I'm going to give up Psychic coverage just because there are so many NDDs running around. Psychic Fangs boosted with Strong Jaw and Psychic Terrain hits like an absolute truck, so I really, really like that. So that's leadoffs. Another few like nuances of the team that you'll get to understand. The whole idea was to ensure that Dracovish is going to be a threat no matter what. However, not bringing Dracovish is one of the most fun things in the entire world with this team, because with how prevalent Gastrodon is right now, what you can do is you can actually not bring Dracovish at all, and you can bring something like Duraludon, Sableye, Rillaboom, Weezing, and you'll be fine. Or Arcanine. If you see a Gastrodon on the other side, you can also bring 3 Pokemon that support Dracovish, and Dracovish will pick up more than likely all 4 kills. Super, super reliable. Neutralizing gas means that you don't have, what's it called? You don't have a Storm Drain. Thank you. So you don't have Storm Drain on Gastrodon. You don't have Steam Engine on Colossal, so it can't get the +6 speed from surfing Weavile. You turn off a bunch of things. You turn off Sylveon's Pixelate, meaning that it can't hit Sableye literally at all, and you can do a lot of damage to it. And it also can't touch Duraludon after that. You turn off things like Prankster, Whimsicott, which isn't that big of a deal because it's so fast anyway. I also wanted to make sure I had a Dark type on this team to prevent like Prankster Encores, to prevent Prankster Thunder Waves, to prevent a bunch of stuff like that. So I had Sableye on the team for that. Also, you could replace Knockoff with Foul Play. Super, super interesting. Foul Play is really good against Belly Drum Lax. However, this team has no trouble with Lax at all unless it's in Trick Room. And then if it's in Trick Room, you just have to prioritize knocking off its berry. That way Gmax Replenish will never get the berry back, and then you'll be fine. A little bit more about the team. So I kind of wanted to go over some like very important calcs that I did. Rillaboom has enough attack to be able to KO Rindoberry Gastrodon if it's Spadef 100% of the time. No matter what, Drum Beating kills it. I have enough speed on Sableye to outspeed a little bit invested Grimmsnarl, meaning that I can actually fake it out before it gets up screens. So the ideal lead versus Grimmsnarl teams are you fake it out, then you max Steel Spike it, guaranteed kills it every time. Your opponent doesn't have screens up. That means that their Snorlax is easier to kill. Bunch of really important stuff like that. So having that speed is really, 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 really nice. I have mixed defensive Weezing. The defensive ease, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was to ensure that Burned Earthquake from Excadrill doesn't two-shot, I believe. And then I have the rest into Spadef, a little bit of speed. Rillaboom also has enough speed for base 80s. Arcanine has enough attack investment to guaranteed always KO max HP Tyranitar with close combat. You could also replace Extreme Speed with Morning Sun or something along those lines, or Wild Charge maybe, but that's pretty much all it was. Duraludon's very simple. I'm trying to think. There was some other things I wanted to mention about the team. So the main thing is that, so another thing about this team, Specs Duraludon is pretty much everywhere right now because it just hits like a freaking truck. So the reason why I have Assault Vest Duraludon is because I can actually two-shot them before they can two-shot me with Max Wormwind. Along with being able to knock off the Specs, it does very little damage versus my team. Also, I have... I'm trying to think, there was something else I wanted to mention about this team. Leadoffs. Realistically, one of the best leadoffs is Sableye Duraludon. Super reliable with the leadoffs. Every now and then, So versus hard Trick Room, I will never lead off with Sableye. Typically, I don't even bring Sableye versus Trick Room unless I see a Snorlax. But even then, sometimes I'll bring Rillaboom because it has knockoff itself. So typically versus hard Trick Room, what I'll do is I'll lead off with Duraludon plus Dracovish. That way, I can Max Steel Spike the Hatterene, and then I can Fishious Rend the Indeedee, and typically if the Indeedee doesn't go for Follow Me, it will just completely one-shot it or bring it down to Sash. So I think that that is super important. I'll also sometimes do Rillaboom, so that way I can knock off. And then typically versus Trick Room, I always bring Arcanine, that way I can soak up Eruptions. And I can have like Arcanine plus Dracovish to just soak up Eruptions and be fine. This team, super reliable. I love it a lot. I'm going to be bringing some videos with it on the channel. This is what I'm going to be taking to tournaments. I'm super excited for it. If you guys want to try out the team, of course, code is literally right there. Go ahead and try it out. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching and hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.